Dear students, welcome back to my channel. In this class, let us discuss about the applications of Gauss law in electrostatics. Actually, there are three applications in our syllabus. So, in this class, let me tell you the first application of Gauss law. Okay, anyhow, before entering into the application of Gauss law, in order to take the application or put the application of Gauss law, we have to consider three rules. We have to consider three rules. See, we have to follow three rules. Let me tell you. Rules for the application of Gauss law. Okay, fine. See, the first rule one should follow is imagine a Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. Imagine a Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. In my last class, I have already said about the different types of charge distribution. Actually, there are three types of charge distributions. First one, linear charge distribution. It means just like a one-dimensional picture. Next, surface charge distribution, and the third one is volume charge distribution. Here, the first rule one should follow in order to take the application of Gauss law is we have to imagine a Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. For example, if charges are uniformly arranged on a cylinder, so we have to imagine a cylindrical boundary, that is Gaussian boundary, Gaussian closed surface. Okay. Suppose if the charges are uniformly distributed over a sphere or shell, we have to imagine a sphere as a closed boundary. Like that, we have to imagine a Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. Second one, calculate the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian surface. Second rule one should follow is we have to calculate the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian surface. And the last rule, the third one, is equate this total flux with the Gauss equation phi is equal to q divided by epsilon naught. Otherwise, 1 over epsilon naught times q. See, this is the third rule one should follow. First one, we have to imagine a closed surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. Imagine a Gaussian surface which has to be a closed one. So, charge distribution. Next, calculate the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian surface. Second thing, we have to calculate the total electrical flux passing through that closed surface, the Gaussian surface. Third one, we have to equate the total flux which we have calculated in the rule number 2 with the actual Gauss equation phi is equal to q divided by epsilon naught. If we follow these three simple rules, means it is very easy to take the application of Gauss law. It is very easy. In your syllabus, they have mentioned the three applications which are very important for 5 marks. Okay, na? Okay. Let us start. The first application of Gauss law in electrostatics, that is calculation of electric intensity at a point due to a charged spherical shell. Due to a charged spherical shell. Okay. First application. Very important question for 5 marks. Derive an expression for electric intensity at a point outside the charged spherical shell using Gauss law. So this is the first 5 mark important derivation which comes under the application of Gauss law. Okay, anyhow, as the name itself indicates, I mean the name of the expression indicates, we have to consider a spherical shell. Okay, shell means a hollow sphere. Okay, for example, so this is the shell on which the charges are uniformly distributed. I will take positive charges on it. You can also take the negative charge. Let O be the center of this spherical shell. Let capital R be the radius of this shell. Okay. Since positive charges are present on this shell, what is the direction of electric field? It will be outwards. So, which is given by the actual Coulomb's concept, which says that Coulomb's force is a central force. Therefore, I will take the direction of electric field from the center of the spherical shell, which is outwards. Okay. In place of positive charges, if negative charges were there, means the electric field has to be from infinity to this center. Okay, now? Fine. Next. So what are the rules of Gauss? What are the rules one should follow in order to take the application of Gauss law? The first rule says, imagine a Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. Here, the charge distribution is just like the charges on the sphere. Therefore, we have to imagine a spherical surface here, a spherical boundary, and I will call this as Gaussian sphere. Okay. Next, what to do? Let small r be the radius of this Gaussian sphere. Small r is the radius. Next, we can expect this electric field in all possible directions, isn't it? It is a three-dimensional one. We can expect the electric field like this, like this, like this, and so on. Similarly, the electrical flux also. Flux will come out like this, like this, like this, etc. Isn't it? So, calculating the total flux, that is in order to obey the second rule, calculation of total flux through this entire Gaussian sphere simultaneously in all possible direction is not an easy thing. Therefore, what actually we do is, we will divide this entire Gaussian sphere into small spheres, that is small portions. Okay, let me take one small sphere over here, whose area, let it be some delta A, whose direction is normal to the surface. Okay, fine. That is the direction of area vector and electric field vector along the same direction. These two are parallel to each other. Okay, now? Okay. Still, we have followed only one rule of the Gauss. That is, we have imagined one spherical Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. What is the second rule? Calculate the total flux. Okay. So let us start from here. The small electrical flux through the small area delta A is, what is the formula for delta phi, which is given by E delta A cos theta, where cos theta is the angle between E vector and delta A vector. Since the angle between delta A and E here is 0, you can take it as E delta A cos 0. The value of cos 0 is 1, therefore it is simply E into delta A. This is the small electrical flux through this small area delta A. Okay, but our intention is to find the total electrical flux through entire Gaussian sphere. Therefore, the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian sphere of surface area A is equal to 4 pi r square E. So as you know well about it, to get phi from delta phi, we will take summation of delta phi. The value of delta phi says it is E into delta A. I will take E outside and summation of delta A. Summation of delta A is A. So the value of A is 4 pi r square. Therefore E into 4 pi r square. For my reference, I will call it as equation number 1. Anyhow, we have followed the second rule of Gauss. That is, we have calculated the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian sphere. So we are left with only the third rule, which says that we have to compare this total flux with the actual Gauss equation. We know that we know that according to Gauss law, phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. That is 1 over epsilon naught times Q. Here you have to keep one thing in your mind, that we have placed this spherical shell in the presence of vacuum. I mean in vacuum or in free space. Okay, fine. So therefore we have used phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Otherwise it would have been phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught into epsilon r. Okay, fine. Now let us compare equation 1 and 2. From equation 1 and 2, LHS are same, therefore RHS has to be same. RHS says E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. On rearranging the terms, what we get here is E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by r square. Okay, now see, this equation is similar to the electric intensity due to a point charge. If we consider only one point charge, say for example plus Q, if you take some point P at a distance some small r, what is the magnitude of electric intensity at P due to this positive charge? Means the same equation we will get. However, what does it mean? In case of spherical shell also we are getting the same equation as that of an isolated point positive charge. See, it is nothing but, though the charges are present on the surface of the shell, so we have to imagine them at center O. Okay, na? That is just like shell theorem. You might have heard about the shell theorem in your gravitation chapter last year, isn't it? So the entire mass of the body or sphere appears to be concentrated at its center, just like that. Though the charge is present on the surface of the shell, we have to imagine them at exactly center O. Therefore, we got the same expression as that of this case. Okay, na? Suppose if you want the vector, its vector form means you can take one arrow mark here and you can put a unit vector small r, where this r vector r cap is the unit vector in the direction of E vector. Okay, na? So this is the first application of Gauss law, that is derive an expression for electric intensity at a point, at any point which lies outside a charged spherical shell. What I have done here means simply I have followed the three rules of Mr. Gauss. The first rule said that we have to imagine a Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. Second one, we have to calculate the total flux through the entire Gaussian surface. And the third one, we have to equate that total electrical flux with the actual Gaussian equation. Phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. Otherwise, 1 over epsilon naught times Q. See, I have considered one spherical shell here having radius capital R, center O. I have considered positive charges on it. So next, so I have imagined one Gaussian sphere. So similar to the charge distribution. So this is the first rule I have followed. Second, in order to follow the second rule, so that is calculation of total electrical flux through this entire Gaussian sphere. It is impossible. It is not possible to find the total electrical flux in all possible 3 dimensions simultaneously. For that, what we do here is we divide the entire Gaussian sphere into small spheres. Okay, na? So therefore, I have considered one small sphere here having area delta A, which is at a distance some small r. See, if this is small r, then this is also small r. No need to write it again. Of course, I will write. Okay. Delta A is the area. Since small area is a vector quantity, its direction is normal to that surface. If this board is a surface, then it will be the direction of its area vector. Therefore, n is the unit vector that is which represents the direction of area vector. Okay, fine. Here, both area vector and electric intensity vector are along same direction. They are parallel to each other. The second rule I am following in this way. First, I will calculate the electrical flux, small electrical flux through this small area delta A. See, the small electrical flux through the small area delta A is given by its definition. Delta phi is equal to E delta A cos theta. Here the angle between delta A and E is 0. Therefore, cos 0 is equal to 1. Therefore, delta phi is equal to E into delta A. Next, actually we wanted the total electrical flux, right? Therefore, the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian sphere of surface area. What is the surface area of a sphere? That is 4 pi r square, small r square. Okay. That is A is equal to 4 pi r square is phi is equal to summation of delta phi. I will take E outside and summation of delta A gives us A. The value of A is 4 pi r square. Therefore, phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square. That is equation number 1. Next, the third rule says that we have to compare this total electrical flux with the actual Gauss equation. That is phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. On comparing these two, we get E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q divided by R square. It is in vector form. Okay, now. So this is answer for this question. Suppose derive an expression for electric intensity at a point just outside that charged spherical shell. Anta kelidre, what we have to do? See, let me tell you. So these are the special cases. Special case number 1. Electric intensity on the spherical shell or just outside the shell. What is the meaning of that word just outside? Just outside means here. It is nothing but on the surface of the sphere. For this case, what we can write? R is equal to capital R. Therefore, the equation will become E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q divided by, in place of small r we have to write capital R. Therefore, it is capital R square. Okay now. This is the expression for electric intensity at a point which lies just outside the sphere. Sorry, that spherical shell. Otherwise, on the spherical shell. Otherwise, it can also be written like this. E is equal to, I will mark this as 1 divided by epsilon naught times Q divided by 4 pi r square. This is charge. This is 4 pi r square is area. Charge divided by area is what? What? In the last class I have explained about it. Charge per unit area of a conductor is called surface charge density. Q divided by A is sigma. Therefore, it is sigma by epsilon naught. This is the expression for electric intensity at a point just outside the spherical shell or on the surface of the spherical shell. Similarly, the second special case is electric intensity at a point which lies inside the shell is what? Yes, you have to be very careful here. So, it may be asked for 1 mark. Please remember, electric intensity at a point which lies inside the spherical shell is 0. Why means there are no extra charges present inside, there is no net charge present inside the spherical shell. Therefore, electric intensity inside is 0. On the surface is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q divided by capital R square. Outside is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q divided by small r square. Okay, anyhow, so this is the first application of Gauss law. In the next class, let us discuss the second application of Gauss law, which is based on the wire. The expression will be on the wire, which is a uniformly charged one. Okay, anyhow, let us see it in the next class. Thanks for watching.